أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد أما بعد المعقد العشرون حفظ الوقت في العلم. بحمد الله تعالى, all praise to Allah Azza wa Jal that we have arrived at our last milestone in the book, which is the last chapter, the last principle of knowledge, which is حفظ الوقت, protection of time, safeguarding the time in the path of knowledge, fil ilm, in knowledge. This chapter, it really summarizes everything. It brings everything together into this vessel called time, and that vessel, that time, is personified with this thing called life, right? This life is essentially a vessel categorized by time, essentially its key ingredient, and all of us are passing through it. Right, all of us are passing through this tunnel, and the end result of this journey will be largely dependent on how you utilized your time. Indeed, how well you utilized your time in this world. The Shaykh begins with a statement from Al-Imam Ibn Jawzi. قال Ibn Jawzi رحمه الله في صيد خاطره, in his famous book صيد خاطره, صيد خاطره. The book is actually called صيد الخاطر, but because he's mentioning that in his book صيد خاطره, so he's written the name like this. The book's actual name is صيد الخاطر, صيد الخاطر, capturing or hunting down the thoughts, the meditations of the mind. Okay, so journaling, essentially. This was Ibn Jawzi's personal journal in which he is noting down his personal benefits. And look what he says, subhanAllah. He says, ينبغي للإنسان أن يعرف شرف زمانه. ينبغي, it's a must. It's a must, it's an absolute must for a human being, للإنسان, أن يعرف, that he knows, شرف زمانه, the nobility, the loftiness of his time, of his zaman, his time. وقدر وقته, and the value of his time. Zaman, waqt are used interchangeably to represent or to mean the word time. فلا يضيع منه لحظة في غير قربة. So he does not waste. فلا يضيع. So he does not waste minhu, from that time, لحظة, even a single moment, في غير قربة, in a thing which is غير قربة. قربة is an action that is for qurb, towards Allah, nearness towards Allah, that takes you closer to Allah. So an action that takes you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal is known as قربة. Okay, so غير قربة, anything other than qurba. So the person, because he realizes, and it's a must upon him to realize the nobility, the loftiness, and the value of his time, he does not waste even a single moment in anything that is not pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal, which is غير قربة, okay, which is not a qurba to Allah Azza wa Jal. ويقدم فيه الأفضل فالأفضل من القول والعمل, and he puts forth in this time al-afdal, the best of actions, fal-afdala, and then the best after that. So al-afdal fal-afdal, the best, and then, which is less virtuous than the first action. So al-afdal fal-afdal. Okay, he keeps putting forth the best of his actions, min al-qawli wal-amal, from his speech and his actions, from the beauty of the words that come out of his mouth, uttering the words of Allah, the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah, the knowledge of Allah, the ilm, that he learnt from his teachers, from the Sunnah, anything to do with the Sharia that comes out of his mouth. Wal-amal, anything that corresponds to the Sharia, anything that is beloved to Allah Azza wa Jal, and staying away from things which are despised by Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, so something is virtuous, something is the best of actions when it is a positive action, or it is the negation of a negative action. So when you don't do an evil deed, that is also a hasana, right? When you do a good deed, that is a hasana. So all of those things are combined. So saying good things and not saying evil things, doing good actions and not doing evil actions. Okay, all of those things are from the qurbat of Allah towards Allah Azza wa Jal. So the person, it is a must that he realizes the loftiness and the value of his time, so he doesn't waste even a single moment in a thing, in an action or a statement which is not going to earn him closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. So rather he utilizes his time to put forth actions which are the best, and then the best of the actions from the actions of the tongue and the actions of the limbs. ومن هنا عظمت رعاية العلماء للوقت. And it is based on these sentiments, من هنا, from here, based on these sentiments, this reality of the value of time, that عظمت رعاية العلماء للوقت. The care or the concern of the ulama للوقت, for time, عظمت. It really magnified. It really was expressed as greatly and stressfully because of keeping in mind this importance of time. حتى قال محمد بن عبد الباقي البزاز, to the point where Muhammad ibn Abdul Baqi al-Bazzaz rahimahullah, he said, ما ضيعت ساعة من عمري في لهو أو لعب. I have not wasted even a single moment from my life in a thing which is a lahw or a la'ab. Lahw is something which is amusement, a thing of amusement, of curiosity, of no particular importance to our iman. And la'ab or la'ib is just play, right? Just play of no benefit to your iman and your akhirah. Not a single moment. وقال أبو الوفاء ابن عقيل الذي صنف كتاب الفنون في 800 مجلد. أبو الوفاء ابن عقيل رحمه الله, he's a famous author, a famous grammarian as well as a faqih, who authored this book in 800 volumes covering all the different sciences of his time. 800 volumes. Okay. And how did he achieve that? Look at his statement. He says, إني لا يحل لي أن أضيع ساعة من عمري. It is indeed not halal for me that I waste even a single moment of my life. Now, sa'a in the modern colloquial usage, it's used to mean an hour, but sa'a can also refer to a moment in time. It's not just one particular hour as we know it. Allahu Akbar. And this was taken so seriously by the ulama, so seriously to the point where وبلغت بهم الحال أن يقرأ عليهم حال الأكل بل كان يقرأ عليهم وهم في دار الخلاء. Subhanallah. It got to a point, بلغت بهم الحال, it got to a point with them that أن يقرأ عليهم حال الأكل, that it was read upon them even while they were eating. They wouldn't take a break from reading. بل كان يقرأ عليهم وهم في دار الخلاء, and it was read upon them even while they were in the bathroom. Subhanallah. That is a famous incident by the grandfather of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. He was so studious and so resilient in terms of his dedication towards ilm, that even when he would eat, he would ask his son, the father of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, to read to him. And then even when he would go to the bathroom, he would ask his son to continue reading upon him, subhanAllah. So the Shaykh says, فَاحْفَظْ أَيُّهَا الطَّالِبِ وَقْتَكَ. So, O you dear Talib al-Ilm, O you student of knowledge, فَاحْفَظْ, safeguard, protect وَقْتَكَ, your time. فَلَقَدْ أَبْلَغَ الْوَزِيرُ الصَّالِحُ بْنُ هُبَيْرَةَ فِي نُصْحِكَ بِقَوْلِهِ. For indeed, Al-Wazir, As-Salih ibn Hubayra, he's really outdone himself in advising you. أبلغ, يعني أبلغ في نصحك. He's really gone out of his way. He's really outdone himself in putting forth his sincere advice towards you. في نصحك. نصح is to offer sincere advice, right? So sincere advice is called nusх. So nusḥika, your sincere advice towards you. بقوله, with his famous lines of poetry. These are famous lines of poetry, and I recommend you guys memorize it as well, inshallah. والوقت أنفس ما عنيت بحفظه وأراه أسهل ما عليك يضيع or يضيع. He says, والوقت, and time, أنفس, it's the most precious thing, ما, that, عنيت بحفظه, that you are concerned, that you're concerned with, okay, that you should be concerned with, right? Yani concerned with what? بحفظه, with its protection, with its preservation. You should be really observing care towards protecting your time. You should be really careful to protect, safeguard your time from being wasted. Yani, he says, I'm telling you a reality. The most precious thing that you have been given to take care of is your time. And subhanallah, وَأَرَاهُ أَسْهَلْ مَا عَلِكَ يَضِيعُ. And I see it to be the easiest thing upon you to be wasted, or that is wasted upon you. For I see it to be the easiest thing that is wasted upon you. And you waste it like it's nothing, like you get money to waste time, subhanallah. Subhanallah, the ulama, they understood this, that Allah Azza wa Jal demands ihsan from His slaves. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, yani, Allah Azza wa Jal Himself has written ihsan upon Himself, that when He creates with perfection, excellence. And because we are the slaves of Ar-Rahman, then we are supposed to, and we ought to, follow in His footsteps. We are supposed to be muhsineen. We have to pursue excellence. And the only way to excellence, literally the only way towards excellence in any field is to follow a line of study, or a line of source, in the words of an author, apprenticeship, so to speak, or a period of hard work, putting your head down, rejecting money, fame, every kind of pleasures of the dunya, for 7 to 10 years, putting your head down for that time, and only focusing on one or a few skills, one after another. That is how you value time. If you think that you can manage more than one thing at a time, you're lying to yourself. You are not valuing your time, because you will realize that it is far more scientifically, based on experience, based on historical data, everything that human knowledge can muster, based on everything. Anytime you spread yourself too thin, you are going to waste your time. Because when you spread yourself amongst many disciplines or many pursuits of learning, you are essentially involved in shallow learning. And when that happens, and I'm not even speaking about activities which students waste time on, such as social media and others. We'll talk about that in a second. But right now I'm talking about, let's say you are serious about this business of studying. Let's say you are serious about this business of being close to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Let's say you are serious about meeting Allah in a state where He's pleased with you. Let's say you are serious. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that you are serious, that you're sincere with that intention. right? If you are sincere and you are willing to give that time, 7 to 10 years of your life, at least to your initial training, because mastery is a lifelong pursuit. Excellence is a lifelong pursuit. But 7 to 10 years, head down, so that your knowledge, whatever you learn, it becomes part of your nature. It becomes part of your being. If you think that can be achieved by following multiple courses, multiple programs, multiple books, multiple lectures at the same time, then you're wasting your time. You're not valuing your time. It's the most precious thing that you have. If you are pursuing the path of excellence, if you are pursuing the path of ihsan, then you cannot afford to distract yourself upon many things. It has to be one task at a time, one thing to master at a time, and then you move on. This is the way to study. At least 7 to 10 years is the time that it takes for someone to really internalize, truly master the initial concepts, right? But he or she has not yet achieved true mastery, excellence in that thing, because that is going to happen, or start rather, after those 7 to 10 years of initial preparation. Okay? That's as far as those students are concerned who are serious. Those students or Muslims who can't control themselves from being too bored, and they find themselves too restless and impatient, and find themselves not having control when they all of a sudden, out of nowhere, find themselves doom scrolling on social media. TikTok, social, I don't even know these names. Instagram, I believe, and others, right? If you have those, I mean, subhanAllah, if you have those apps on your phone, I think you should stop studying right now until you fix that side of yours. If you have those apps, with the exception of, let's say, something that you need for your studies, like for example, we need YouTube because we don't have any other way to host our lectures. Inshallah, as soon as we have more money, inshallah, we will transfer everything towards a better platform, inshallah. But other than necessity, if you have anything just for the sake of just having access, then it's not befitting of a student of knowledge, and you're going to waste time. Okay, just having those apps on the phone is a waste of time. Period. No argument on that, no discussion on that. Okay. You see, boredom, being bored is the key ingredient behind your procrastination. The moment you find something difficult or not as engaging, even though you know deep down that this is the only way that you are going to get to that target that you want to achieve in knowledge, in taqarrub ilallah, and so on and so forth, the only thing that does not that prevents you from doing that is that you're not able to manage your boredom, your impatience. And there's a thing called the circle of accelerated progress, okay, or development. And what that concept defines is this phase that you will definitely achieve, where after a few months or years of fighting the boredom in a particular field, as soon as that field that you're studying, like Arabic for our example, for example, let's say right now studying Arabic is a bit boring. It's not as engaging or exciting, let's say. But as we know from psychology, there will come a time if you just cross the threshold, the initial threshold, the moment you step onto beyond this initial threshold, boredom will go away, because that cycle of accelerated progression will kick in. And what that means is that you've internalized the difficult elements and they've become natural to you, the initial foundations of a subject. And now you don't have to struggle with those things. And then practice becomes fun. It becomes engaging, naturally becomes engaging. And at that time, you won't need any motivation. This is why famous, big scholars or, experts from any field, name any, right? They find pleasure in practice. when you go to this, for example, let's talk about sports. Let's say you start some exercise. You pick up a sport which is difficult. If you start to practice on the first day, if you start your practice on the first day, it will be difficult. Perhaps your body will be sore the next morning, and if you give up or you distract yourself from that initially, you will never be able to attain the same, or you will never be able to enter that phase in which the person who did sort of go through that initial phase, he pushed himself through that phase and entered that phase of in the cycle of acceleration, of progression. That person over there, he loves to in fact train harder, 7-8 hours a day. They're willing to do that, and they love to do that. They don't feel tired. It's because they were willing to put in those initial hours. And trust me, it's for students who find it, they struggle to keep their focus. It's only these initial days. Allah Azza wa Jal will, inshallah, He promises you success if you just put in those efforts, those initial hours in, putting your head down, fighting your boredom, fighting your impatience, and all the things that distract you from doing the actual work that is due. Subhanallah. I mean, look at these scholars. Subhanallah. ما ضيعت ساعة من عمري في الهوى أو لعب. Can we say that? That we haven't wasted a single moment of our lives in lahw and la'ib? How fortunate would we be to say something like that? But unfortunately, we're not. We can't say any of these things because we haven't disciplined ourselves. If only we discipline ourselves in these initial months, initial years, it doesn't take longer than that to enter into that phase, that phase where you will actually start to enjoy your learning. There'll be nothing more delightful to you than practicing your Arabic, learning more about Arabic, learning more about these sciences, the Quran, the usul, the sunnah, aqidah, fiqh, usul, everything. Because you will have gone through that initial development. Khalas. So this was the last chapter of our first matan. We have reached a milestone, alhamdulillah, in the first 3 months of starting our program, alhamdulillah. And from next week, inshallah, we'll be revising all of this, and then you'll be set a task to teach the same matan to a group of students, inshallah, that you'll be sort of gathering in your localities to convey the knowledge that you've learned in this book. Teaching is the best way of assessing if you've learned something or not. So inshallah, that is going to be the primary way of assessment in our case as well. So, alhamdulillah alladhi bi ni'matihi tatimmu salihat. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله على النبي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.